Welcome to the broadcast, my dear old fruits and basketeers across the world. Wasn't it glorious to see the Princess of Wales today, in green, for St Patrick's Day actually? She was at the Wellington Barracks, in the company of the Irish Guards, for the St Patrick's Day parade. She was there in her role as Colonel of the regiment, and she was issuing out medals, and she was presenting those sprigs of shamrock to the officers and the guardsmen, and she was reunited with the beloved mascot of the Irish Guards, the Irish wolfhound Seamus. Wasn't it a treat to see him again? We missed Catherine doing this last year, and it's so wonderful to have her back. She was green in McQueen, as usual, heeled suede boots, a shamrock brooch, and a matching hat. That splendid silhouette of hers, admired by all, along with that winning smile that we all know so well, and I really loved the hair arrangement. A bit of an updo, so none of those cascading locks getting all over the place and in the way. Professional, slick, and with a hint of sexy. It was a joy, and she had a little bit of a sip of a pint of Guinness as well, and left some money behind the bar for the boys and girls of the regiment. And we'll return to royalty later, but it seems I have some catching up to do, because All the Best to You said, "Oh dear, you haven't even done a broadcast about this, but I'm looking forward to it when you do. Lemonada has just," even the name cracks me up, "Lemonada has just announced a new podcast with Meghan called Confessions of a Female Founder." And I'm sure just as you did, my dear, as soon as I saw this title pop up, flounder came into my mind, and then was proliferated all over social media, I'm sure. Absolutely, a female flounder is exactly what she is. But yup, can you believe it, you say? Sounds like a sleazy, pornographic magazine expose. Oh, the mind boggles. All the best to you. The mind boggles, and I don't really want to go there, lovey. Can't wait for your comments, but I shall furnish you with the comments now, my dear. And I realise that I come to you several days after this announcement, and I would like to remind the person that complained the other day, this is old news for something that I spoke on. I'm not a newscaster. This is The River Broadcast, where I luxuriate in my thoughts and yours at my own pace and leisure. It's not TikTok. I'm not ticking and talking around here. Do you understand? I'm here to have a nice little chat with friends and basketeers. I'm not a bulletin. This isn't John Craven's news round. Confessions of a Female Flounder debuts on April the 8th. Should be April the 1st, shouldn't it, my dear? April Fool's Day. Because she is an April Fool for all seasons. A gal for all seasons. A fool for all seasons. I'm so excited. Oh, you know what's coming. When she's so excited, she seems to spend her entire life in a constant state of excitement for burgeoning projects. I'm so excited to share something else I've been working on. Confessions, my new podcast with Lemonada Media. Is the confession, Meghan, that you are a histrionic, lying, manipulative wench? Are we finally getting that confession? That would be wonderful. And that would be showing a real example to the working world. I've been having candid conversations with amazing women who have turned dreams into realities. What about duchesses who turn reality into dreams? That's the quiz, Meghan. And they've scaled small ideas into massively successful businesses. They're opening up, sharing their tips, tricks, and tumbles, and letting me pick their brains as I build my own business. As ever. It has been absolutely mind-opening, inspiring, and fun, because what's the point if we can't have fun on this wild adventure? Oh, move over. Dame Anita Roddick. Well, you can't move over because you're dead, but the ghost of the late Anita Roddick. Move over, and from the male world, the male world of business must be trembling. Richard Branson quivers. Watch out, the Duchess is in town. Now, I will give her her dues. At least she's following up with something for Lemonada. It wasn't so long ago that I was saying, well, the lemonade's gone flat, hasn't it? Nothing's emerged. Well, I will give this to the gal. Something's emerged. Another dose of crap. Another turd for the pile, no doubt. But who knows? She could surprise us all. Maybe she's learned something from the way that archetypes was received and the critique that suffered. Maybe she's taken some of that criticism on board. What do you think? Not by the hairs of my chinny chin chin. She's also provided us with more idyllic vignettes, a montage of Sunday sweet peas in a stupid hat. And the sweet peas look lovely, I will give that to the girl, but we all know, Meghan, that your attempts at growing Sweet William, at growing sweet Big William, was an epic fail. So don't think that we've forgotten. And as Catherine will tell you, by the way, Sweet William, Sweet Big William, is both a shower and a grower. Yes. He shows in the harvest festivals, the spring carnivals of the kingdom. He shows with his prize-winning produce and largesse of membership that we've discussed previously. He both shows at the festival and they grow in the bountiful rain that falls here in the kingdom. And the lovely luscious sunshine that we get, he shows and grows, yes. He's a double dose of ducal membership. Unlike poor Meghan, unlike the puce and putrid frostbitten spectacle of little Todger that you have to put up with. Little Todger and the artful Dodger, they go hand in hand, don't they? Well, the Princess of Privacy, she opened up. Someone has forced her to open up her family photo album, this private princess, for Women's Day. And here we see the young Pickney Meghan, and a rare moment with Mother Doria, a very rare moment in that era, wasn't it, to see them together? But there they were. Maybe it's photoshopped. That was then, and this is now. Wonderful. How heartwarming. And a lovely snap was shared of Harry with or Princess Lily White, to Meghan's chagrin. She's turned out, hasn't she? Princess Lily White, there she is. Actually, I thought that was a really nice picture. Really cute. And then there is the happy couple, like a scene out of Beaches, isn't it, my dear? Harry playing the Bette Midler role, and Meghan there playing Hilary Whitney in her hat. H is retrieving the flotsam and the jetsam, or seaweed, from the shore by the look of it, the way that he's clutching onto her, this bedraggled figure. Well, it seems that she is doubling down, doesn't it, my dears? She has the temerity, after all the flack she's taken, all the sarcasm, all the comedy and the parody over what she gets up to. She is doubling down on her mission as a feminist, as a founder, as a business executive. She won't take no for an answer. You've got to give it to her, haven't you? The bald-faced temerity of the girl and her determination to be taken seriously. It's not going to wash, lovey. And it strikes me as cosplaying, yet again, cosplaying another role. She's cosplaying the female executive. She hasn't achieved anything. She hasn't achieved anything decent, anything of note, or any business success. Okay, she says they're going to help walk her through her new business as it comes off the ground. I'm prepared to give her the benefit of the doubt a little bit, but I'll also be listening with interest to see what confessions exactly are thrown into the mix, and if she puts the royal family's name, or H's name, into her mouth. Several viewers also asked for my thoughts belatedly on the Drew Barrymore interview, so I will offer them here. I did watch it today, actually. Most of it, anyway, what was available on YouTube. And, well, for a start, Drew Barrymore gets off with, "Please welcome the incredible, beautiful, effervescent Meghan." So over the top. You know, she introduces her in this way, gives her the great big fanfare, and then in waddles Meghan, looking like a box of rags in her usual form, a box of rags on stilts. And the TV audience was inane, but then they always are, you know. I've been witness to many studio audiences in my time, and they're often made up of very disaffected individuals, I've got to tell you. Well, kids and children, that's fine, but as they get older, you will sense an inanity in lots of these people because they haven't got much to do with their time. And this is, their chance to rub shoulders with celebrity if they're not being paid to be there, as some of them are. And I'm quite sure that this lovely lady here, who is dressed in the foreskin of Kermit the Frog, has redeeming qualities somewhere. I'm quite sure that she does, so I don't mean to besmirch her, but the unbridled enthusiasm that she put on display for such a guest as Meghan makes me rather concerned for her well-being, I must tell you, unless she was paid to cheerlead. Fair dues in that case. Otherwise, poor woman, poor woman. Sad. In Meghan's favour, I think that with regards to her grooming, her styling for her face and her hair, not the clothes, not the rags for the ragging gal, but in regards to the face and the hair, I thought was lovely, exquisite. I think this year has been a vast improvement. It really has, in terms of her makeup and hair and that sort of general styling. It's no wonder, is it, that Daniel Martin gets a tray of bath crystals when he comes to visit, and a special room, and scented arse wipes. He's earning his keep, the boy. He's earning his keep. Now, I consider myself to be a very tactile friend. I'm very affectionate, rather huggy, and walk hand in hand with my gal friends as we go about our business, you know, trotting around flirting with the boys. I consider myself a tactile friend, but when it comes to Drew Barrymore, oh, that gal, one can't help but have affection for Drew, can one? Because of her past, and little Ellie, was it, that she was in E.T., so they're all going to always love a bit of Drew, and I'm no exception. I happen to rather like the incarnation when she was hanging around with Courtney Love and, who was the other gal? Amanda de Cadenet. So we know that there's something a little more wry to her sensibilities, something a little bit more down and dirty to her sensibilities than all of this effervescent warmth that she gives off all of the time. And I'm going to sit down cross-legged with you and gaze into your eyes intensely and hold your hands and pretend we're in a hippie commune at Glastonbury on the healing fields, because she does this. She loves to do all of this, doesn't she? The intensity. Well, maybe she uses it as a device, and maybe she used it as a device with Meghan, but I certainly don't buy the act that she's selling. No, I don't. But I can appreciate aspects of it. But I would find that sort of behaviour in real life, if she was to try and keep that up all the time, suffocating and claustrophobic and quite unnatural, to be honest with you. But she tells Meghan, does Drew, she tells Meghan, oh, I've spoken to so many friends about you, and without exception, all of my friends who know you and have met you and have met Harry say they're so hot for each other. Oh, they're so hot and steamy for each other. The Duke and Duchess, it's like, they can't get their hands off each other, which we've seen. And she said, every time I see you together, you're kissing and you're holding hands. Good one, Drew. Good one, Drew. Look like the innocent flower, but be the serpent beneath. We know what you're doing, Drew. Good one. She drew a line in Meghan's fantasy life, didn't she? She drew a line under it and said, yes, we all see you pawing and clawing over each other in your mid-40s, as if it isn't a vulgar display of unnatural PDA games or some sort of BDSM extravaganza behind the scenes going on that we don't want to be privy to. We're seeing it played out, Harry's mummy issues and your Diana cosplaying or whatever it is you're trying to do. We see it, we sense it all. The claw and the paw and the clutching and the touching and slobbering. Vile. Well, Drew sees it too, and she called it out in her own oh so warm hippie way, didn't she? And then she spoke about the time when she fawned all over the memory of the late Diana and said that she had been in communication with Diana as a child. She'd met Diana at a premiere and she had offered Diana an E.T. doll or a cuddly toy, and she goes on then to lavish praise on Harry, even though she's never met him, doesn't know anything about him, but lavishes praise on him. He's wonderful. I saw Harry and Meghan on Netflix and I love it. And she sort of asks Meghan what's their secret to a happy marriage, and apparently they vowed to each other, well, Meghan made Harry vow to always date my wife, to treat their life as if they are always on a sort of courtship, if you will, to keep the romance into things, which is all very well and good. I'm sure that it's sage advice for some people in some quarters, but there was a very telling little slip coming from Meghan, because the devil is always in the details, is it, my dear? A very telling slip. She said, we're so committed to treating each other the same way we did before we had a ring on it, before it was locked down. Yes, she actually said that. You don't have to go digging for the information, do you? She tells you. When they tell you who they are, believe them. Well, she told us who she was just then. When it's locked down, once I got him locked down and I got the ring on my finger and my finger in his ring, and it was locked down. The wedding date was locked down. Signed on the dotted line. We know what was going on in her mind now, don't we, my dear? Well, as she described her life to the fawning Drew, and how wonderful it all was, their relationship and the garden and the cooking and the kids, and the business, everything just so beautiful. And Drew kind of looking at her with enthusiasm. Well, you watch and Drew begins to glaze over and you realise she hates her. We know, Drew, we know. And I saw right through it. I saw right through the veneer. The more that Meghan was gassing on about how wonderful she and her life was, the more Drew was spitting blood inside and thinking, oh, shut this girl up, shut this duchess up. We know, Drew, we know. We know what you did there. We saw what you did there. And we kind of approve. And then they went on to make thumbprint cookies. And I thought it was actually rather unhygienic the way that Meghan was digging her thumbnails into them as she was making the dough. You know, under those acrylics, you're going to get all kinds of bacteria and dirt, aren't you? Including the skin from Harry's back that she rakes during their sessions of passion on their courtship dates. The mind boggles. But it's a good point, isn't it? But finally, Meghan was actually, despite wanting to be the star of the episode, she was upstaged by the ghost of the late Diana. She was upstaged at the last moment. The photograph that Drew had somewhere upstairs, but she doesn't know where, that she'd inconveniently forgotten to bring at the start of the episode. All of a sudden, someone found it randomly up there in the studios on the same day that she was creating this show. Do you see how Drew pretended it had just been discovered? And it was wheeled out and it was shown to Meghan. And it upstaged Meghan, and she didn't like it. Because there Meghan is, you know, cosplaying in her late mother-in-law's bangles and baubles and beads and son. And she's reminded about the real thing, and she's reminded about the only reason that people might kowtow or curtsy in a symbolic fashion to her. It's because of the mother-in-law, it's because of the family connections, it's not to do with her being a female founder, and it's not to do with her being anything other than Harry's wife. So it was cold comfort for her. But back to some nicer issues, and the Prince and Princess of Wales were at Principality Stadium in Cardiff for an England versus Wales rugby match. Boring, Yawnsville. Can't think of anything worse. Not just because it's rugby, all sports send me to sleep in that sort of way. So I don't care who won or who didn't, but apparently the glory was all for England, who apparently trounced Wales. Sorry, Wales, but I really don't care. I could not care less who won or not. But she was looking lovely, wasn't she, Catherine, in Navy McQueen this time. You know, boring but lovely, quite resplendent. She is the patron of Rugby Football Union, and William is the patron of Welsh Rugby Union, and he was wearing little dashes of red here and there in the tie and the scarf in a nod to the Welsh team. And the both of them met players who have been supported by the Welsh Rugby Charitable Trust, and William's patron of that trust as well. Got patrons here, patrons there, patrons all over the place. It was set up to help players who have been severely injured while playing rugby, so very worthy cause there. And then the Waleses mentioned how they watched Prince George and Prince Louis playing rugby at weekends in the freezing weather, going from one competition to the next. And the King had a very busy week as well, you know. He was at the Terra Carta exhibition and reception at Hampton Court Palace, and he met with leaders of sustainable businesses and was shown innovative designs. Now, on the subject of Stella McCartney, who gets on well with the King, and we've seen her before in footage curtsying to His Majesty, and she's very respectful about him. Of course she is. I like her very much, actually, Stella, and I particularly like her husband. But she created a gauche moment. I mean, it was somewhat gauche and unnecessary, especially when these things are on film. as he approached her, she made a great big meal about, should I curtsy, should I not, should I bow, should I not, should I kiss you or should I not, should I ram my tongue down your throat or not, your majesty, this kind of thing. Oh, I'm not even sure what I'm supposed to do again. And she sort of did a mock curtsy. He took it in very good humour. I'm more offended than he was, so it's nothing to worry about. And offended is the wrong word, but I just find it gauche and unnecessary. And in truth, vulgar. And it comes down to nerves, I'm sure, around royalty. But, just curtsy or don't. You don't have to, but if you're gonna do it, don't start questioning it, my dears. Curtsy, and then if His Majesty wishes to evolve and invite you into an embrace or a little air kissy to the cheek or a fuck, whatever it is, my dear, let His Majesty do it. You don't have to do all of it. All you have to do is curtsy or not. You can extend a hand for a handshake, or if you do curtsy and he wants a peck on the cheek, he will initiate. But in fairness to Stella McCartney, it is His Majesty's fault, actually, that these gauche situations arise. It's His Majesty's fault for being so kind and so lovely and allowing the crowds and his subjects to paw at him and shake his hand and feel the warmth of those great big sausagey fingers. And the Queen's too, for being extremely friendly and amiable, very approachable. So when I say it's their fault and favour, you understand. And it's not a personality flaw, but it's something that I'm always critical of, because all of this lovely touchy-feely stuff is heartwarming to look at, but the old school protocols have been successful for so long because they work. Do you see now, my dears? They work. There is a reason that the late Queen was such a frosty bitch at times, because she kept the hoi polloi at bay and the peasants and the paupers. But then they knew their place. They knew their place. They didn't feel dissed by it. They didn't feel disrespected. But they weren't umming and ahhing. Should we snog her? Should we not snog her? They knew their place. Sovereign and subject did not have to hedge their bets in the old days. They didn't have to second guess, this is what I'm trying to say, because smooches should be saved for behind the scenes, behind the screens, private moments. That's absolutely fine. You can hug Stella McCartney until the cows come home. And I'm not talking about Camilla. But he can do what he wants then, you understand. But not in public. It's too late now, I understand, but I'm just holding forth with my opinions. And the Prince and Princess of Wales are going down the same path. They've chosen the same path. Behaving in the style of Hollywood royalty rather than actual royalty. Kissy here and smoochy there, and it's just going to add confusion to the mix. As we see, I'm sorry to hammer the point home, but what happened with Stella McCartney in this incident, the awkwardness, the gaucheness, just exemplifies and illustrates the point I've been trying to make. It's confusing for people. Keep the peasants and paupers in their place. At your feet. Edward and Sophie and Lady Lou and little Jimmy Seven, Earl of Wessex as he is now, our James. Actually, when I think about it, although of course we all fantasise about Queen Anne, I'm not so sure, as much as I adore Peter and Tsar, that would have gone on to be a successful scenario. But if I was to sort of fantasise a bit about the alternative to King Charles, who I adore, wouldn't Edward's family have done very well in this aspect of keeping the hoi polloi at arm's length? Edward. Sophie is on the turn a little bit in that respect, because she's also so lovely, but Lady Lou and James, they have that reserve, don't they? So I'm not, as a family unit, all wonderful. Sophie, a little bit of a different aspect, but as for Prince Edward, or King Edward the Ninth, as he would have been, yes, I think he would have hit the right spot there. And as for Queen Louise, well, we can see it, can't we? We can just see it in her constitution and her enigma. She would have had no problem following in her late grandmother's footsteps as a reverential figure, to be seen, somewhat believed, as a mystical presence and a magisterial force. But don't you touch me. And at Buckingham Palace, His Majesty hosted a reception for Water Aid, in his role as patron of the charity, and he met young leaders and thinkers, and he was highlighting global water and climate issues. And also at the palace, the king received the Usher of the Black Rod of the Senate of Canada. And who doesn't like receiving a black rod from time to time? I know I do. Well, His Majesty bestowed upon him a new ceremonial sword, and Mr. Gregory Peters is the 17th Usher of the Black Rod since Confederation. The position originated 600 years ago and is a senior protocol officer in the Canadian Parliament, combining traditional, ceremonial and modern administrative functions. And bright red buttonry was poppin'. It was poppin' for Princess Anne in her role as newly appointed Admiral of the Royal Navy Sailing Association, and that famous broad Windsor grin was on full display on her visit to the association, which was founded in 1935 with the mission of encouraging the sport of sailing in the Royal Navy. Her Royal Highness presented the Life Flag Officer's Burgee to the manager Wayne Shirley in recognition of his long-standing support, and the Duke of Edinburgh, as Honorary Air Commodore, visited RAF Waddington in Lincoln to present a new standard to SI Squadron. Once a battlefield rallying point, today the squadron standard is a powerful symbol of unity, proudly paraded on special occasions, such as Remembrance Sunday. Thank you very much for joining me for a chinwag today. I appreciate your company very much, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care, my dears, enjoy the rest of your day, and toodle pip.